So, folks, there is a man by the name of Ken Martin and another man by the name of David Hogg. Ken Martin used to be the chair of the DNC here in Minnesota. And, well, he went up against Ben Wickler several months ago. And he won. He won the chair of the DNC for the entire Democratic Party. And that's pretty impressive. That's pretty cool. And I was willing to give Ken Martin a chance. But a really embarrassing audio leak came out. Because what's happening within the Democratic Party right now, for those of you who don't pay a ton of attention to it like I do, because I'm me.
I gotta come back now, BCUZ. You are too good and nice and beautiful to weather the storm of American life by yourself, Riverboat Peeposit.
Well, thank you, Prince Seal. Appreciated. We've been missing you. Yeah, basically, for those of you who haven't paid a ton of attention, there is a rift in the Democratic Party. And that rift is between the more progressive wing of folks who want to do something and have a vision to improve things on a mass scale for the working class in our country, right? And on the other hand, you have these abundance liberals. You have these neoliberals, these holdovers from like the 90s and the early aughts, who still adhere to, Barack Obama's line about Republicans that the fever will break. And the fever hasn't broken for like 30 years. And yet these do-nothing Democrats, these abundance liberals, are committing to a line of attack against the current moment, which is, I need to remind everyone, we have a fascist in the White House. We have someone who, with an authoritarian aspiration, trying to destroy our democratic system and processes in order to install himself as a kind of dictator. That's the moment we're in. And that moment calls for action. It calls for resistance. It calls for people actually stepping up to do something about that. Now, there's another man in the mix here named David Hogg. Now, David Hogg was elected as a vice chair of the DNC, the whole shebang. And David Hogg got his start in politics by essentially surviving a mass shooting at his school. And he's grown up ever since, very much involved in politics. And he is,
My children, it is I, Jesus. I have returned because I owe Jim an apology. I was short-sighted in turning his wonderful water into wine. It was an error on my part, and I promise to try to be better.
Trains and bullshit. Thank you for the $5 dono. You guys are just workshopping different characters in the text-to-speech dono messages, and I'm here for it. Keeps me alive, keeps me fed, keeps me housed. I appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. David Hogg is one of these do-something Dems. He has pledged to primary Democrats that aren't doing enough to actively oppose Donald Trump. Now, of course, he's not saying every Democrat needs to do this, but if you're in a safe Democratic district, you need to start showing a spine. You need to start being vocal. You need to start defending your constituents. Otherwise known as the baseline requirement for your job. And on the other side of that, you have these abundance liberals, whom I believe Ken Martin is one. And it's just fascinating to see this break and this dedication to doing nothing, to not rocking the boat, to maintaining the status quo. And it is wild to me that these people cannot see the writing on the wall. And so what happened the other day is apparently audio from an internal meeting at the DNC was leaked. And the article that Politico wrote up on it is titled, "You essentially destroyed any chance I have," DNC chair told David Hogg in a private meeting. And I want to be clear that right off the bat, my assumption here is that Ken Martin and the DNC deliberately leaked this audio to make David Hogg look bad. This is a maneuver to try and torpedo him because there is currently an ongoing effort to remove him, to redo the vice chair elections based on like allegations that like they weren't conducted right in the first place. And frankly, while that might have been triggered by actions within the DNC, like it does really seem it smells bad. The implication, the entire thing of it really comes across as the DNC got someone inside that they are now trying to expel. And there are others who are saying, no. Like Malcolm Kenyatta is making the argument that like, oh well, no, actually, David Hogg is making it all about himself. It's not actually like the DNC rejecting him.
Jim Waters' concubine here.
Oh my God.
Day 227 of trying to get out. He seriously opened a door to a library today thinking it would change my mind on trying to leave. Send help, send hope, send milk.
Why milk? Thank you for the $10 dono. What? I really appreciate it. But essentially what's going on here is an inter-party split. It is the war for the heart of the Democratic Party. And I've talked about this many times in the past. But what's fascinating here is the audio. Absolutely wild that we have it in the first place. And I do not think it does what the DNC was intending to do with it when it got leaked. So let's take a listen here.
And I'll say, look, it has plenty of warts, and we're all trying to change those for sure. But the longer we continue this fight, the harder it is for us to actually do what we all want to do, which is make a difference in this country again. So I deeply respect you, David. I too was looking forward to working with you, but this has created a situation, and I'll be very honest with you, for the first time in my 100 days on this job, and Jessica knows this, the other night I said to myself for the first time, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And partly not because of the stress and all the naysayers, right? I'm used to that. I've spent 14 years as a chair. I'm used to getting beat up on. But, this is really everything, from this election, this credentials report, and how Malcolm's been treated in this, to, the fact the election itself, how Shasti and Gina were treated in this. I'm just quite frustrated to be in this position, because what you've done, whether you like it or not, or know it or not, David, is no one knows who the hell I am, right?
I mean, yeah, even the title of this article relies on no one knowing who you are.
I'm trying to get my sea legs underneath of me and actually develop any amount of credibility so I can go out there and raise the money and do the job I need to put ourselves in a position to win. And again, I don't think you intended this, but you essentially destroyed any chance I have to show the leadership that I need to. So it's really frustrating. Jane.
Yeah, he's crying. He's actually, honest to God, crying. Like that's wild. Like absolutely wild. And understand that what he seems to be upset about here is that, one, he can't do his job to become well known within the DNC. Okay, all right, but you should be able to do that without, like, you're the head of the DNC. Like, yeah, your subordinate, your vice chair, saying something inconvenient to you, sure, but like, you got to take responsibility. You got to step up. It's your ball. Like, you're the guy. And like, I think he gives the game away when he talks about how no one knows who he is. Like, it really does come across of like, you've been stealing the spotlight from me. How could you? You've undermined my leadership by coming out and saying you want Democrats to do something. It's like, okay, so what are you going to leadership them into doing? Exactly, because we've I don't know if you guys know this, but the election was months ago. What have you been doing, Ken? What have you been doing? Like, goddamn. I had like a little bit of hope that Ken Martin might be able to do something about this, but genuinely he has been completely and utterly ineffective. And you can't blame David Hogg for that. You simply can't. What needed to happen is you needed to go out there and you needed to lay down the law with Democrats in the party and tell them, hey, cut the shit out. You need to be going outside. You need to be talking to your constituents. You need to actively be participating in protests. You need to be doing X, Y, and Z because we need to have a coordinated response to what is happening here. And that's not a high bar, guys. Like, that is maybe a bare minimum that someone in charge of the DNC should be doing right now. And I've seen in his comments, people are begging him to do something. Yeah, of course they are. Like, I firmly believe that this audio was leaked by Ken Martin and his team specifically to try and put pressure on David Hogg. And you know what? It worked. It worked. The audio was leaked on the 8th of this month. And on the 11th, just a day or so ago, guess what? David Hogg announced he's not going to be running again for vice chair within the DNC. It's very, very disappointing, you know? We had the chance to have something good, and this is why we wanted Ben Wickler in there. So this isn't even, by the way, the Democrats ousting David Hogg. This is David Hogg just saying, like, okay, I see what you guys are doing. I see what this is all about. And you know, he's saying, no, I'm good. I'm good though. Like, we Gucci. Yeah, let's see here. Hogg announced he will not run in a planned redo of this year's DNC vice chair election shortly after the party voted to void Hogg and Malcolm Kenyatta's victories in the DNC's vice chair elections earlier this year. The revote is not related to Hogg's push to primary elected Democrats, but it came after Hogg drew stiff criticism over the plan. It's related. You can say it had nothing to do, but it is related. I don't think that they would be doing this if it wasn't related. And he put out a statement saying, it's clear there is a fundamental disagreement about the role of a vice chair, and it's okay to have disagreements. What isn't okay is allowing this to remain our focus. While there is so much more we need to be focused on, Hogg said in a statement issued through his political action committee, Leaders We Deserve. Ultimately, I have decided not to run in this upcoming election so the party can focus on what really matters. I need to do this work with Leaders We Deserve, and it is going to remain my number one mission to build the strongest party possible. DNC chair Ken Martin said, I commend David for his years of activism, organizing and fighting for his generation. And while I continue to believe he is a powerful voice for this party, I respect his decision to step back from his post as vice chair. Yeah, fuck off, Ken. David Hogg has something up his sleeve. Well, I think David Hogg's effort to primary Democrats is going to be incredibly effective. I think that having 20 million in a super PAC to primary Democrats, that is a sizable war chest to deploy into Democratic primaries. I hope that what this means is that he's just dedicating even more of his time and efforts into getting actual progressive Dems elected. But I don't know how anyone respects Ken Martin after audio of him literally crying about needing to do his job better. I like that. It's absolutely disqualifying and frankly pathetic. It's weak, and it's emblematic of like the weakness inherent in our do nothing Democrats. You know, there is a rot at the heart of the Democratic Party, and it's a rot of complacency. You know, when MLK was writing Letter from a Birmingham Jail, like he was writing about people like Ken Martin and the do nothing Democrats. And then David never did anything again. Neither did Ken. I welcome Hogg's Super PAC because we need more money for primary challengers of these shitty Dems that don't fight for us. Yeah, and like, I don't believe that David Hogg is a progressive per se, but I think he understands what is necessary to meet the political moment and challenge of a would-be fascist authoritarian. Yeah, we all hoped Ken was Kenough, but it turned out he was not Kenough.
Riverboat deck is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube and swishy streams. All that content is bursting the scenes. Politics, gaming, and plenty more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord. Riverboat Jack.